Clint, you were not at the Truck Camper Rally last weekend, so I'm going to ask you the trivia question that we had on Trivia Night. You ready?
Sure.
Lean in. So,
we've been recording.
He starts to be. Wow. The secret is out. We have Gordon and Angela from Truck Camper Magazine here this week.
Welcome.
Yay.
Thank you, guys.
So, I know everybody else, but Clint may know this. What percentage of the market out there actually buys a truck camper?
Of the RV market?
Of the RV market buys a truck camper.
All
right, can y'all guess out there?
Multiple choice.
Yeah.
We had
3%, 8%,
11%,
or 14%.
I want to say 3 or 8. Let's go with 8. 8%.
I don't remember the answer.
3.
It was 3.
3%.
See, I wanted to say 3.
3%. But I don't know. There's a lot to talk about here. And we have Truck Camper Magazine folks here, Gordon and Angela, who've published it for 16 years. So we're going to just
That was also a trivia question.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was.
How many years? 16?
We just finished up a tiny trailer rally and a truck camper rally. We're going to talk about just fun facts that you probably don't know. So stick with us. And Clint, why don't you start us off?
Welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast, where we talk about lightweight trailers, truck campers, and the people, places, and adventures that go right along with them. We are your hosts from Princess Craft RV. I'm Clint.
I'm PJ.
And I have a wrinkly shirt.
Oh, well, I think we can be okay with that, Lindsay. We'd be all
There's not much I can do about it now. I am so distracted by this cat. Cat, no, that's a real cactus.
That's okay. It's a real cat.
We have we have a cat with us because Gordon and Angela are traveling in a truck camper. Go figure. And they have a cat that we had never met, so he came in to podcast with us.
Cosmo.
We named him Cosmo. Cosmo, we call him our CEO. And he travels with us everywhere. He's just so much fun. And anyone out there who thinks that maybe they can't bring their cat with them when they go RVing, let me tell you, absolutely can.
Okay. Yeah,
I have a question about that,
let's just start out talking about cats, okay?
Right.
Let's just take a left.
My cats always sing the song of their people when they're in a vehicle, and it's not a pretty song. It's not. It's very lowly, very angsty.
Can you please imitate it for us?
No, not at the moment. But maybe I'll record it and just patch it in. So yeah. So does Cosmo sing the song of his people?
Of thinking, any minute is the end of the universe.
Well, the first month we traveled with Cosmo, he would meow like meow.
Yeah.
Like we were hurting him.
It's like the song of his people.
And
just
it was tough.
Nobody knows kind of song.
Okay, English. All right, go ahead.
So anyway, we go from Florida all the way up to Maine with this meow. And we're just like, oh my gosh, is this going to be our truck camping cat?
You feel so sorry for him.
But then right about we hit the Canadian border and he's just like, okay,
he says, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes.
So it only took about 1,000 miles.
It's the Canadian
It's about a
people.
month. And then he's just kind of,
I can get him.
he's just
Oh, he's good.
Well, I think he wants to show everyone Cosmo.
If you are able to check out this episode of the podcast on video, Cosmo's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So go over to RV Small
Cosmo's-
Talk on YouTube and check out Cosmo.
So the other trick that we did, if people are watching this on video, is he wears this jacket, and it sort of works like a thunder shirt with dogs, in that it wraps around him and
It's a hug.
kind of holds him tight, and that really helps to calm him down. So that was a huge part of helping him adapt to the camper and to traveling.
And it also is good in that when we go from the truck to the camper, we have our ability, if he decides to dash, to grab him very quickly. And he also has a leash. He doesn't like to walk on the leash, but he tolerates it. And it makes it so we feel it's a lot safer.
Sure.
Especially when tractor trailers are nearby, because he hears that like whoosh, the tractor trailer.
Right.
The brakes.
He jumps like,
so
my gosh.
That big machine just hissed at me.
That's right.
Really loud and scary like.
Absolutely.
Well, it sounds like he's scared like almost all the time.
He's a scaredy cat for sure.
But
is he like chill in between?
Yes. Yeah, he sleeps most of the time when we're traveling.
Or he's watching the birds or the people walking by.
So I would think that if you're traveling with a cat, my thought is you crack open the door and just like at your house, they dart out of the camper.
He has. Another thing with the red jacket is it slows him down, and it for some reason that turns off the "I need to get out of here" mode, and he settles down and he's fine.
This is all also reflective, so that if we if you got out at night, we'd be able to spot it a lot easier.
So before you open the door to your truck camper, like every single time, you like, where's Cosmo?
Well,
and make sure
he
he's
travels with us in the truck,
right,
and then he travels, and he's with. So we always know where he is.
Right, but where in the truck camper, like, make sure he's not right behind you. So if you open the door to go outside, he's not going to bolt.
Yeah, it's always this kind of like, where's Cosmo? Usually he's sitting in the dinette or up on the bed, and we just walk out and in. But
if we leave the camper, we put the jacket on him. We don't.
That way we know he cannot run very fast.
Yes.
Well, there you go. Slow him down. Well, it sounds like you worry about all the times he gets nervous, but Cosmo, being your cat, I bet has a charmed life. Lots of constant attention.
It's not too bad.
Which is worth the stress of traveling.
We should all be so lucky to come back as a cat and get to travel. It'd be fun.
Right.
Yeah. Except for when it's not, because you're a cat.
Yeah, except for when... Okay, you got me there. Right.
Hey, what are we talking about? Truck campers?
I think that
cat campers.
We should talk about how a lot of folks, they look at truck campers and they go, why would anybody want that? It's small. They're a little bit more expensive than basically anything else in the RV world.
They are the most expensive square footage of any RV out there. And I mean, that's taking out the $2 million motorhomes.
Right. The real outliers.
But yeah, the outrageous ones.
So why would anyone, I'm saying this as someone who obviously knows the answer, but why would anybody want this? It makes no sense.
And that's a question we get all the time here. People see them and they're like, that's neat, but why?
Yeah. Well, I think... I tell people there's 2 reasons to buy a truck camper. And in my head, there's only 2. And isn't that crazy? I'm getting this weird look.
I'm interested in your answer.
I've heard this like every day since I was 12.
Yeah, so it makes sense to you.
So 2 reasons to buy a truck camper.
Yeah, so one reason is because you want to tow something, and tons of fishermen and people who have a boat, a ski-doo, or
a helicopter. We've seen that guy too.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wants to tow a helicopter.
They tow their plane or their glider or motorcycle trailers. Mm-hmm. I mean, anything you want to tow. You need a truck camper so that you have both things. A barbecue rig, a ton of barbecue competitions. Have truck campers.
Competitive fishermen.
Fisher people.
Fisher people. People who fish.
All of those things and more.
Fisher people.
Like Fisher Price all grown up. Fisher people.
I think we could hear you think just then a little bit. That was kind of fun.
I have a headache.
Then the other reason is just the opposite. There's people who just say, I hate towing things. I want to fit in one parking space. I like to go downtown to the museums, or I'm just scared to death to have something behind me and be in traffic or not be in traffic or hop a curb or all those reasons. If it's on your truck, it's just like driving your truck.
That's right.
But how is that any different than like a little van or a little class whatever?
It's not.
Because they're not towing anything.
That's
and they
right.
can also tow something.
Well, the one kicker on that is
so why would you choose a truck camper over that?
You get the functionality of do you want to tow or you do not want to tow, but you also can separate from your camper and have a true runabout vehicle as well. So it's kind of PJ's point is a really great lead into, hey, let me think about this. But then you add the extra functionality because truck campers are so modular. You get to make your camping experience what you want, including you don't have to have a separate runabout vehicle. Mm-hmm. If you need to go into town, you don't have to break camp and unhitch.
But you don't either if you have a trailer.
Well, but holding to your point of I don't want to tow something.
Right. Okay. So it's all the things.
Right. It's like your line of conversation is a perfect starting point. And then exactly though, how's this different than a Class B? Well, you don't have to pack up your camp just to run into Walmart.
Oh, good point.
So we surveyed our readers for the first about 12 or 13 years about why they go truck camping. Yeah.
Why are you supporting us?
Well, the reason we did that survey was because we want to make sure we're producing content towards where their interests are and we better understand it. So the 3 answers were they want to go anywhere, they want to camp anywhere, and they want to tow anything. consistently, survey after survey after survey, to the point where we made that our motto. If you look at Truck Camper Magazine, that is the go anywhere camping or tow anything. So you're right that you can tow with other types of RVs, absolutely. But when you look at a dually, especially if it's a heavy thing that you're towing, a diesel dually truck, nothing is going to tow in the RV world better than a dually diesel truck. There isn't a van, Class B or even a Class A, that has that kind of versatility and capability. And when you integrate torque lift into the equation, they have now the solutions to be able to tow bigger and heavier things better and safer. Obviously, go anywhere. I mean, we have off-road and off-grid capabilities, not only because of the four-wheel drive truck,
the clearance, the high clearance.
We have the high clearance, but we also have larger holding tanks. We have bigger battery banks. We have more solar. So pound for pound, foot for foot, go anywhere is taken care of. And then, of course, camping anywhere, once you get there, those holding tanks and those solar panels really kick in, and you can stay 10 days sometimes, maybe longer, in a truck camper and be super comfortable. But that's a niche. We just described a really narrow, evidently 3% of the market.
Right.
I don't believe that, personally. I think that those numbers aren't counted accurately for reasons that are beyond this podcast. But
yeah, I was wondering how they got that number anyway, because you told me because truck campers aren't registered, then they can't really, it's hard to count them.
That's part of it.
You guys can estimate how many are built.
Yes.
But you can't really estimate what gets bought or registered because they don't register them. Yeah, I tell people it's like buying a shirt at Sears. You just buy it. It's yours. You can sell it to your next door neighbor for $1. Nobody cares. No licensing, no registration. In most states. There are some that do, but they are few and far between. Yeah. But, for those people who are still with us and haven't said, I don't care about truck campers, I'm out. If you're still here, I think the biggest question would be, a truck camper, it's tiny, it's minuscule. What's possibly going to be in there? Mm-hmm. How can you possibly live in that? It'd be like walking into a very small walk-in closet where you walk in, turn around, and walk out.
That's the perception.
And that is the perception, and that it's decorated like your grandpa's living room in the 80s. And I was corrected by some of the people at our truck camper rally. They're like, well, I like the 80s. And I'm like, okay, but most people didn't. Or don't anymore. Right. So I don't know. That's the biggest myth, I think, about truck campers. They're so tiny and that they are dated on the inside. Mm-hmm.
I could take that if you want. I mean, first of all,
Ready, set, go.
I tell people truck campers are the Jeep of RVs. And
Jeeps are cool.
Yeah, exactly.
They were in the 80s too.
Jeeps are cool.
Right. They were in the 80s too.
Well, I don't.
That's true.
But there is a coolness factor to that statement, right? I mean, the whole idea of the Jeep brand being associated with truck campers is sort of foreign, but it fits in that we go anywhere, we camp anywhere, we tow anything, we're active. Mm-hmm. This is not a RV that you go necessarily to a campground and you hang out for a week. Park. This is a traveling, exploring, skiing. This is an active outdoor lifestyle product. So people tend to find truck campers because there's something they really want to do, something they want to tow, something they want to go to Alaska and they know that they need the four-wheel drive and the capabilities of a truck. I mean, it's not just something that people don't wander onto a lot and go, I don't know, maybe a travel trailer, maybe a fifth wheel, maybe a truck. That doesn't happen. They've usually figured out that there's the part of the versatility of the product is something they need.
And this is how it's always been. If you look back at my history with truck campers, what I've always seen is it's always been the rancher, the fisherman, the rodeo clown, the rodeo professionals. It's always been the active, go do things.
It's kind of a tool.
Absolutely.
It is part of your gear. But you know what? I think that's mostly true. But let's talk about the extreme luxury side of truck campers, because that's out there too. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, describe for me what a luxury truck camper looks like.
Well, some of them have 1, 2, and even 3 slide outs for one.
3 slide outs on a truck camper.
Fireplaces, heated floors.
Clothes washing machines.
Big screen TVs, island kitchens.
They're little fifth wheels, basically.
Sofas, and recliners.
I know.
King beds.
Yeah. That's part that was, many years ago, when the triple slides came out, a lot of folks in the industry, myself included, said, that's not a truck. What is that?
It's too much.
The manufacturer who came out with them said, you don't understand. We're not going after the truck camper market. We're going after people in a fifth wheel who want to downsize, who want a simpler way to travel, who don't want to tow anymore, who don't want that much to maintain.
There were a lot of people like that at the rally with Lance 1172s. I think there were 5 or 6 of them who had been in fifth wheels and gone to that camper.
Because it's a lot of luxury.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically everything they had in their fifth wheel
luxury.
in
a smaller fit.
It's like a tiny home. It's all here. Everything I need.
It is kind of the tiny home concept, because tiny homes, some of them are just really nice. Yeah. They have everything in them. They're just a smaller footprint.
I think that's a trend a lot of us hit at some point in our life, where we say, you know what? I'd like just less of everything. Less maintenance, less stuff, less space, less heat, less air conditioning. How do I do that? And a truck camper is kind of part of that. I mean, like you were saying, not everybody wants to hunt and fish and go skiing. Sometimes people just want less to maintain, less to
drive,
less to turn around.
U-turns.
Yes,
so easy.
We always say, try that in a fifth wheel when we do a nice hard turn in a gas station, right?
Well, I have heard, Gordon, just to be clear, that is what you always say.
I might always say that. It's true.
Yeah. So we is the general you.
Try that in a fifth wheel.
Try that in a fifth wheel.
Angela, look at him.
We have to take a Cosmo break.
No. Leave him. He's okay.
Licking your.
He's exploring all of our office. It's very fun. We have a cat here.
He is a cat.
Cats and babies.
Yeah.
And puppies. We love them all.
He is.
So you've got this luxury truck camper. You know, the other thing that we hear here, and I use we, meaning all of us.
You also use here.
We hear here.
Here.
Right.
We hear at this location here is, people saying, really? It costs that much?
Yes.
But a luxury trailer costs that much, but a luxury camper somehow
I can get 5 Jaycos for that.
Should be half the price.
You should go get 5
because it's smaller.
Part of that is because there's only 3% of the buyers buying them. We don't have the larger companies necessarily making them in volume to bring that price down.
Oh,
and they're not building as many, so they're not buying as many refrigerators, as many parts and pieces that go into the camper to bring that price down. So some of it is just scale.
Some of it's structure.
A lot of it is structure.
You've got to have a lot of structure to have something that can sit in the back of a pickup truck.
That's what I tell people.
And take a lot of abuse.
The engineering.
Also on the assembly line, you go to Northern Light or Lance, you have 1, maybe 2 people in a camper at a time. But then you go to maybe Northwood's fifth wheel and travel trailer lines, and you've got 7 or 8 people working on that one at the same time. So the labor to go into it is much more.
Yeah, it takes longer to build it.
Much longer, which they have to pay for.
If you put those 4 corner jacks on most travel trailers, put them in the corner, and you're going to see it crack in half. They need to be more structurally sound. Now, all of that is a tough pill to swallow, right? Like I heard you, that all makes sense, and then I look at the price again. That's part of the niche. I think that's part of the 3% issue. They are more money. There has to be a compelling reason that this is the right answer to make the additional investment. If
you want to tow something, or if you don't want to tow something.
Right? Or if you really want to go off grid and stay there for 10 days, or is that, if that's not a priority, then you shouldn't spend the additional money. You should get something a little less. It doesn't need the versatility.
Tiny homes, tiny trailers, they're not inexpensive always. It's really about the build. It's about the quality. And like we said, even the biggest one with everything in it, they've got every single appliance and component that a big fifth wheel has. It's just less structure. And the structure isn't the expensive part. It's the building it, and it's all the components that go in it. Make sense? Am I on the right track?
No, I mean, like I said, it goes back to what Angela was saying. I mean, having more people on the line gets them down the line faster and is more efficient. They take less time to produce out the door. But like the fact that there's only 3% of the market, I mean, it's an easy thing to overlook. But if you only buy one, there are companies like Alaskan, for example, that might only buy 5 or 6 refrigerators at a time. Palomino
So
will buy
you don't get
thousands.
the volume
Right.
discount price.
It's
There's no Walmart and Costco effect for the manufacturer, so it just rolls down to
Right.
if we're going to stay viable as a business, it just costs more.
it costs more, a lot more. Yep. So
What's the biggest question you get?
What's the best truck camper?
what is the best truck camper?
Well, could you
Tell me
answer that
which
for us
one?
now?
Best
So
brand.
What
subjective.
is
Camper.
the best truck
The
camper?
best truck camper is the one we own. So sorry, guys.
Yeah.
And we have an orphan.
It's mine.
We have 4 orphans.
No, we have an Alpenlight 1100. It's an orphan camper. Our company went out of business in 2008, 2009. But to answer your question,
So why do you have that camper? Why don't you? You have access
There's-
to all the manufacturers and all that. I'm going to put you on the spot. I know the answer to this, but I know you don't want to answer it. I'm going to make you.
you want this or you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody jump in there.
There's
Why
2
don't you have the biggest, baddest, coolest thing?
We do.
Oh, I see.
No, the truth is, there's 2 reasons. One, we needed a brand that nobody would think was leading to bias in what we do. So if we had a Lance camper or a Northern Light or an Arctic Fox, and we love all those brands and love different models in those brands, but we couldn't own that because the other companies would throw a fit.
Or we'd be covering it a lot more. So, say we had a Lance, we'd be covering Lance
Every outing.
all the time because, hey, we're on the beach in Texas and there's a picture of our camper and it's always a Lance.
And even if we
So-
were able to keep our bias in check, which we work very hard to do, just owning that product and having that brand on our truck would
Colors
show
your
bias.
experience.
Right.
So there's that facet, and then the other facet was when we first got into truck camping. Our first camper was a Lance 1030, but before that, we were looking at all the different campers that were available. This is before Truck Camper magazine, so just trying to figure out which brands existed was interesting. And I came across Alpenlight and immediately fell in love with that 1100 floor plan, having never seen one in my life. So when we finally looked at getting our own camper, I said, if we can find one, and we did, and it's for us a non-slide, hard side, lots of storage.
Dry bath.
It's an 11-foot
bath.
floor, which is one of the larger. It's
Length.
it's the large length of because truck campers are gauged by how long the floor is, not
Right.
how long the entire trailer is.
Right.
The entire camper.
That's the short and sweet of it. I mean, there's more reasons, but we just
So did
But
you
there-
choose Alpenlight after they weren't a business anymore?
Yes.
yes, and that was
for when we bought this one
Yeah.
in 2014. But when people ask about the best camper, then you have to kind of go and narrow it down more. Like I could tell you the best camper for me, it would be
Right.
a dry bath, non-slide camper. But then you go to someone else and they go, I have to have a slide. I need the room. Or I don't want a bathroom. I want to get way off the grid and I can't take a camper that's really big. So maybe a pop-up's best for them. So when they ask me what the best camper is, you kind of got to go, well, let me ask you a few questions before I can answer that.
I think what's really cool about that question is it points people in the right direction. And that what you say is, if you're asking that question, there's some questions you need to ask, which we detail in the magazine in the Discover Truck Camping section. But like Angela's saying, do you want to camp off-road, off-grid? Do you prefer a hard side or a pop-up? And but by answering all of these questions, there usually is a best truck camper for that individual, at least a brand
or a
and a set.
group
Yeah.
of that meet those requirements.
But when you start to factor in price and weight and what truck they want to own, it's actually surprising that it really becomes
One or the
two
other.
models.
One or
Yeah.
the other.
Interesting. Okay, so
see that.
I want to put a shameless plug in because you guys do a really great job in the magazine helping people narrow down trucks and truck fits. And you are the best place for people to get all the newbie info if they're not familiar with truck campers. So guys, if you are tired of listening, but you want to know where to look at all this info, I just got to throw it out there. You never know when people say, "Oh, I've arrived at my destination. I'm turning off the radio now." Then
we'll be here when you get back.
Yeah, we'll pop up again when you turn your car back on.
We're not leaving.
I hope anyway.
We're here to stay.
We're like in your back seat.
Gordon,
that's a little creepy. But just Google Truck Camper Magazine, because it's truckcampermagazine.com. You have a newbies section.
Yes.
And you have a find your truck, kind of match your truck.
The whole homepage of the magazine is geared towards newbies. It's actually the homepage. It doesn't look like a magazine anymore. And we did that on purpose. It's to discover truck camping.
It's all to say, if you're new to this is what you need to do and the order you need to do it in. Our regular readers who are kind of following along, they get our email newsletter. There's a latest section at the top of the website. There's a, latest, look at this. So our regular readers who are kind of just going along, they can go to that. So the homepage is for the people that get there the first time.
And the reason for that is when we started looking at truck campers, there were so many questions we had for which we couldn't find answers. So the magazine is what we needed when we first got into it that we couldn't find. That's why there's a buyer's guide. That's why there's the kind of newbie corner information right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's why we talk about matching a truck and camper right away, because we're trying to catch people before they do it.
Before they make a mistake and buy something that doesn't fit their truck.
An expensive mistake.
Right.
Which happens a lot, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I also think, one of the coolest things in the magazine, which nothing is printed, guys. It is all digital.
And
it is
free.
all online, and it's all free. It's just Google it and there it is. Yep. But the cool part to me is that you put the most interesting stories out in your newsletter. I see rigs that you were like, they're ones that roll through on your Instagram and you go, what is that? And it shows up in your emails and stories of people that do wild things.
Funny how often we in this room, like us three, all three of us do it. We'll be like, oh my gosh, did you see this article? And we'll all like gather around one desk and be like, oh, that's crazy. And then the next week or the next month, we'll gather around PJ's computer. She's like, come read this article.
Right. I think that's
we tend to do that a lot.
There are so many people with truck campers have so many different interests. We've talked about that already. The skier, the mountain biker. It just lends itself to interesting stories.
It does. It does. And people do wild things. And many of them are engineer brains, as I like to call them.
Yes.
Where they love to modify, rig something, and they will spend an umpteen amount of money and time making something that reminds me of that opening scene in Back to the Future where to feed the dog, it goes all the way around the big warehouse and all these crazy things happen. And then it dumps food in the bowl.
If you're listening,
it's crazy.
You're a travel trailer owner or a tiny trailer owner. Our modification section could be a real boon. You could have all kinds of ideas.
Because you can do anything the truck campers have done or most anything in a travel trailer. Those mods are universal.
Yeah. That's what I was telling people at
storage ideas,
trailer rally.
Oh yeah,
all sorts of things.
All kinds of stuff.
I want my camper to do this. I want my lights to fade halfway when I go to sleep, and then after 30 minutes, I want them to go off when I'm asleep. That's just a
weird
basic
mod.
one. I've seen all kinds of weird mods.
Very specific.
It's very. It's like she's been thinking about.
I remember seeing that. What is one of the weirdest or most interesting mods you can think of that just come to mind? Because you have just some of the crazy
I think one of the
stuff.
mods that comes to mind was one we saw at your rally years ago, where someone had a cage where the cat could go outside.
The catio. I remember the catio. That thing was insane.
The side of the camper folded out and became an outside ledge with a
balcony
covered screen on it. Yeah, the cat had a balcony.
Exactly.
It was so cool.
Another one that I thought of right away was there was a guy who made his kids were coming with him. And they were homeschooling, and their dinette table, he had hinges on either side. And if you opened one side, it was a keyboard. so they could play music.
Oh, no.
And then on the other side, it was art supplies and scissors and things so they could be crafty. And all they had to do was, hinge it up and grab whatever they needed and then put it back down and color or draw or whatever they were going to do.
Yeah.
And that could be any RV could have like a table like that. We have so many table mods in our
That'd be cool.
mod section.
Well, the two things that people always say about any trailer, and I don't care if you've got a 33-foot fifth wheel or you've got a tiny truck camper, everybody says, I need more counter space and I need more storage.
Yes. Mm-hmm. A lot of our
everybody needs that.
Yep.
So cool ideas in the magazine, just all kinds of neat stuff. Okay, well, I have one more thing that I just gonna have to go to the way back on. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'll make a truck camper magazine. Mm-hmm. I remember.
I do.
I do you?
I did that just the other day.
Yes, and then you're like, darn, somebody's already done that.
Well.
I do remember when I went home and I remember telling Richard, I think I want a truck camper dealership. And he said, yeah, those aren't a thing.
Yeah, those words need to be reconsidered.
They aren't really a thing. But they kind of are now.
Yeah.
They are a thing now.
It's a thing now. Absolutely.
So,
of a thing.
Yeah.
Now.
I made a thing. So how did you think about making a thing? Because you both had past lives. Mm-hmm. What were your past lives?
I taught 3rd and 4th grade elementary school and loved it. Absolutely loved it. When we moved from Maryland to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Gordon was like, hey, we're taking a year. Why don't we take a year in between locations and get an RV and drive across the country? We had just gotten married and
no cats,
no kids. And it was just like, let's take this opportunity and do it.
And I knew I married the right girl because she said, yes.
Absolutely.
Like
for the second time.
And I went, really?
Are you sure?
Well, on both times, actually.
How did you end up being able, I mean, I understand taking a year off of teaching, but how did you say, I just will take a year off? How does that work?
He didn't exactly take a year off.
I've always been a creative, so writing and publishing things. I had a newspaper in junior high. I had another one in high school. Guy. Yeah, I was that guy. And so it's just something I can't explain why. I was the guy that walked around with a repeatograph pen and a notebook and was always drawing. I mean, I was a creative. Uh-huh. But long story short, I ran a music magazine for 6.5 years called MX Music Guide in Washington, D.C. It was a guide to all the music stores and recording studios and live music venues. And it was great fun. I got access to everything going on in town. And got to meet some amazing people. But Napster came out and iTunes came out, and that whole industry went on basically all my bigger clients, like Tower Records was a client. That gives you an idea what happened to that business. And so that all went under. And after that, I had a couple of different businesses that I ran. I also worked for an advertising agency for a while, worked on Volkswagen and McDonald's and ExxonMobil, some pretty big accounts, and learned a lot doing that. But at the time that Angela is talking about, I was, let's say, in between things. Okay.
That happens, doesn't it?
And she married me unemployed, without a penny in my pocket. I
knew one day you would come up with the most brilliant idea, we would be on the road, just traveling around, meeting great people.
Clearly not.
Man,
I just
leap of faith.
You just knew one day you guys would get a cat.
It was the face. it was this, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah. You just keep telling yourself
that. It's the face for radio. Oh God.
They see you.
So anyway, I was in between things. And actually, the funny part was, right about the time we got set on the trip, I was hired by a Florida real estate developer to write a book about communities, gated communities in Florida.
55 plus communities in Florida.
So here we are truck camping for the first time. And I'm writing this book about Florida lifestyle communities. How to get into it, how does it work, what's the tax advantages to homesteading, all these weird little details, but written for someone in New York or Boston or Chicago coming to Florida and wants to buy a community home. And I said to Angela, where is this
For truck campers.
for truck campers? And out of the blue, one day I said, I'm going to start Truck Camper Magazine. Well, she immediately laughed.
I say, go for it.
Right.
I'm going to go back to my third graders.
Right.
And
Sounds like fun.
Not
See
when
you
I
later.
said, let's get married. Not when I said, hey, let's go cross. But when I said, we're going to, then she laughed. So that was okay.
Yeah. Well,
But that cross-country trip, when we decided to go on it, Gordon's like, what kind of RV should we get? We were going to dealerships, getting in campers, getting in trailers, getting in motorhomes. I said, Gordon, the one thing I have to have is the ability to drive this thing.
Yeah.
I do not want to feel like you fall and break your leg and I can't get us to a
You're
hospital.
stuck. Yeah.
and don't you hear that all the time?
Yeah,
I
we
heard
do.
it twice at the rally.
And I said, I also want to know how to do everything. I want to know how to change out the propane. I want to know how to dump the tanks. I want to know how to load it. And actually, when we load, I'm the one who loads it.
She
not
loads the
Gordon.
campers now. Yep.
But he also is tall enough that when I'm backing it up, he can look right into the bed of the truck and see everything. Whereas I'm too short. So it's like, okay, this works out perfectly.
Always have a spotter. Sorry, I had to say that.
Yes. So anyway, we decided for that first trip, before the magazine even started, a truck camper was perfect for us. Plus, he looked at resale value. I mean, some of these truck campers now going used,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not doing bad.
But
That's right.
We actually started the magazine mostly because we went on this amazing 6-month adventure. We got home, we sold the truck and camper because we couldn't afford to keep it. And then we just both started to vibrate. Like, how can this
We got to get back on the road.
This can't be a most amazing year of our life and now it's over.
Done.
Like, it just, so I said to Angela, I'm going to figure out a way to get us back into this come heck or high water.
And truck
then the-
camper magazine idea. And
Came
we're like,
back to
maybe
that.
this just go.
And then I went online and saw that truckcampermagazine.com was $9.99.
And that was it.
And
right
I thought,
there.
you have to be kidding me. And that's the short. The long story is a lot of fun. And it's in the About Us section.
If
And
you
it's called-
scroll all the way to the bottom of the website, About Us is there. And it's called The Never Before Told Story, 10 Years of Truck Camper Magazine.
even if you don't care about truck campers, and I don't normally say this about something I've written because it sounds wrong, but that's a good story. That's a fun
It's an
article.
And it's
entrepreneurial-
better than, that's what happened after you decided to do truck camper.
so
magazine.
everything we just said is in there with a little bit more detail.
Yeah, me being a teacher.
Yeah.
and how we got through the recession and what happened in the recession and just the story.
Gordon's car accident in Louisville one year. I mean, it just talks about all the challenges. You don't realize you get your email twice a week. Hey, check out this new, but you don't realize all the other stuff that goes into like running a business from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So if you just want a fun entrepreneurial, like, how did this business start?
It's not what people. It's fun to have people read it and say, "Talk to me tomorrow and tell me what
Yeah.
you think." And it's like, "Oh my gosh, that was crazy." I said, "Yeah, crazier than I would have enjoyed, but that's really what happened."
Well, yeah. And you started right before the 2008, 2009 crash.
Yeah,
It's crazy. We
Yeah.
went to some of the manufacturers in 2007 because we visit the factories a lot. And some of the factories we went to in 2007 and 2008 didn't exist.
Yeah.
and 200.
I
people
remember
met
calling
on.
you and saying, "Hey guys, I think what you're doing is great, but I can't pay you."
Yeah, we. I called every. This is. I don't even know. I think this is actually in the article that I was referring to. I called every manufacturer and the president of the company, or whoever was the decision maker, and it was very clear at that point that we were all on something. Something had changed, and companies were going out of business by the
Right.
day.
They were.
And I told every single one. I said, "I'm going to publish until the last company goes out of business, if that happens, and pay me when you can."
Because we were just like,
I'll work
we
with
wanted to be part of the team.
I wanted to
we
be
wanted
part
to
of the
help
solution.
everybody out.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure everybody survived that could survive.
Yep.
And everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people just kept doing it and they got through it. I mean, we all
You just
did
kept swinging.
because we kept helping each other.
But I know you and I had that conversation,
No, absolutely.
and it was.
And unfortunately, I had that conversation with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that was-
none of us could sell anything.
people
So
forget the
we had no
depths
money.
of that moment. It's in the article. I describe how everything led to that. It
it was
dire.
crazy. It was. So that's not fun. We survived that.
Great question, PJ.
I know. But very cool. I mean, I don't know. I always think it's curious to hear how people come up with an idea and then actually launch it.
Yeah.
But I mean, your content out there is just crazy fun, crazy organized.
Thank you.
It is.
Well, that's Angela.
Awesome. You're a team.
Yes.
I can always tell. But, the article on the poop bugs,
Oh,
the dung beetles,
tank beetles.
the tank
black
beetles.
tank beetles. Yes.
Yeah, that was not Angela.
I wrote that in about 45 minutes, and I have no idea why people loved it so much.
I can see how that one just the spark and it just took off.
Went.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course,
Brilliant.
I write those sort of things every once in a while, and I show Angela, and she goes, "You can't publish that."
There have been
That's
so many
just-
things I've taken out.
But see, that's
just not going to happen.
I liked it so much because it reminded me of Clint.
That's
it was something that Clint would write and
totally
something
the
that
sort of thing I would
he
run
would
with.
show us, and PJ and I would be like,
No.
that is so dumb.
Anyone who's
But-
listening to this podcast, I'm sorry. You're missing out on the great podcast I could make.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
When they don't allow me to.
When you just let him go and let him like run free and do whatever he wants, it's just
That's what
fun.
April
It's funny.
1st is for. That's
Gordon
why
keeps a list all year long. What can
Love
I?
it.
What can I do for
one
April
day a
Fools?
year I can just go a little sideways.
So April 1st, where did that go? Was it on Facebook?
In our email.
In your email?
Yeah, but it got. I mean, I saw it on Facebook too.
But you didn't do it
went
this
all over the
year.
place. Yeah.
Oh, you did it this year. Okay,
Yeah, but
Truck Camper Magazine.
We got the email like 2 days before.
Well, because
April
it didn't fall on a
1st.
Friday.
Yeah.
So,
then we were super confused. So then PJ was like, "We need to share it to our Facebook," and I was like, "But it's not April Fool's. I feel wrong doing that. I can't do that."
Yeah.
So
the day before.
I'm a little
look
bit
it up,
Rain Man
folks.
about
Black Tank
Tuesday,
Beetles.
Friday. And
Yeah,
so
I know.
we
Sometimes
publish
they're
on
like,
Tuesday and
"Gordon,
Friday.
We
and
can publish on a Wednesday.
But
No, we
we
can't.
published on Tuesday and
no,
Friday.
No, it's like Wapner, right? No, we publish Friday. We publish Friday.
PJ, this is way off topic, but
Yeah.
for our listeners and maybe more so for our viewers, you're going to have to describe what's in your cup because they can see it on the video, and
is
you're
real
you
gross.
need to describe it. Otherwise, people.
and I noticed I was drinking this way, so
Yeah.
everybody was going to see this huge cup, but I was trying to be nice.
Our poor viewers are going to be like, "What is that swill? What is that
Okay.
swill?"
Ooh, it's mud water.
No, it's not. We have been at 2 weekend rallies in a row. We got back. We stayed up till midnight talking, Gordon and Angela and I. And these rallies start on Thursday. We did one, came home on Sunday night, went back Thursday morning, did it again. These are all day, all
This is
night
coming
rallies.
to what's in the cup. I promise.
What's in the cup?
So I have not eaten enough. And this morning I started to feel like I was going to faint.
Yeah.
So I went in. We have not put food in our kitchen here for us to eat. There is no restaurant next door. There is no vending machine, but there is a big bottle of protein shake meal replacements.
That's what I'm smelling.
So that's what is in this cup, so I can do a podcast.
There you go.
Okay.
It just looks really awful
Whatever
on the
gets you through
outside
the day,
of this.
right?
For our listeners and more so
So-
for our viewers, there you go. If that has been bothering you, because
sorry.
I looked up at our monitor and I thought, oh no,
That's what that
Does
is.
not look good.
PJ,
Yeah, it
PJ's
is-
dipping snuff again.
It is my breakfast
No.
because I have not been eating enough because I've been busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The rally was awesome. Thank you so much
It
for
was so much
putting it
fun.
on. We got to see some
Yeah.
old friends and
Yeah.
meet new ones. And I mean, the dancing was so much fun.
It
and
was
the
fun.
Barbecues.
You got some
seeing
content
people's
as well.
rigs.
What are you going to produce for the magazine?
We did a video that we've actually done before. We did it at the Gettysburg Rally about 5 years ago called "Why Do You Love Truck Camping?" And what we did is very simple. We bring everyone out of their camper and put them in front of their rig, and just ask them that question. People don't like being on camera. I mean, it's
true.
They just don't. So,
Ask yourself.
But yes. But if you ask them something they're passionate about and you limit it to that, they're usually pretty good sports about it. So what the video is going to be is just a series of couples and their rigs talking about what we've been talking about.
Yeah. Why do
you
they
love
do it?
this? Why?
Right.
Why this? What keeps you going out on the road?
And why'd you get a truck camper?
Right. Right. I'm anxious to hear their answers because I now know 50 more truck camper couples than I did before, and I'd be interested to hear what they say.
It's also fun for those of us who attended, because then you'll go back and look at it. Oh, I remember them. Or
oh, they were so nice. So that's the. Was it crazy how many pilots we had at this rally? I think 4 or 5 people were pilots.
I think it's crazy how many cats we had at this rally. I feel like there was almost as many cats in truck campers as there was dogs. No?
Yeah, I remember a lot of cats.
4 people who had cats in their truck camper.
Yes.
Who would do that? That's very strange.
Isn't it?
I don't know.
And then that one just had a sign up that said, "Beware attack cat."
And there's
that cat's name was Cosmo too.
We didn't meet that.
And the cat would just stare at the screen door with the sign right below him that says attack cat.
Love it.
And we had 2 dogs parked next to each other with the same name. They were both named Chloe.
Oh, not Bella? There's a
Who
bunch of
names
Bellas
your
out
dog
there.
Chloe, first of all? And then there's 2 of them next to each other at the
Apparently a
truck
bunch of
camper
people.
rally.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of the truck camper rally? Because we had 4 days of just nonstop.
That's easy for me, but go first.
Well, then,
Because we do all
how that
kinds of
works.
things. There's quiet, there's fun, there's dancing, there's live music, because it's Austin area. But
I just love talking with people. I just find fellow truck campers to be so wonderful, and just connecting with their stories and hearing. Actually, my favorite part, I shouldn't say this, but I will. I love when they don't know about the magazine and they just talk to us and they're telling us about their adventures, and we're just
because
sharing
then we're
it.
just like regular people they're talking to who went
Yeah.
to the rally. We're not.
you get to be incognito.
And then they find out about the magazine, and then it's all about that. And I understand that, but it's just fun to be part of the tribe for a little while.
Totally get that, because there are people who don't know who I am, and I
Very
just
few.
love
Are you
that.
sure? Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
Right.
And it's really fun to chat with them, and they're like, "Oh, well, what are you traveling in?" And I'm like, "Oh, Will."
Yeah.
But it is fun because you just get to be part of the gang, and everybody is so different. We had some very financially well-off people at this rally, and we had people who maybe aren't in that category. We had people who had little farms. We had people who were school teachers. We had people, just people that you just would never know for any other reason. Sit down and you can sit at a campfire for 2 hours, have the best conversation.
Isn't that the beauty of any of
Best
these rallies?
conversation.
You find the whole spectrum of people, personalities,
Oh, yeah.
background, socioeconomic levels, and they come together and you're camping.
Yeah.
Everybody
It's
gets
just
along. Everybody gets along.
it's just really great. What about you? What was your favorite part?
Definitely the people and talking to people, finding out where they went and where they want to go, and just learning about their lives and getting destination ideas from them, putting them on my map and going, we've got to go there. And
Man, that destination chat that we had a time where we set up like 2 hours for people to come in and talk about their favorite destinations. We could have been there like all day.
Yes.
They could cater food, and we would have sat there for 5 hours.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I learned about places. I know.
Cool places to go.
We've been to Utah 4 or 5 times, and Jim and Jeanette brought up Flaming Gorge. I didn't even know it existed, because we typically stay south of 70 and go to Zion and Canyonlands and Arches, but Flaming Gorge is like at the top of Utah, almost near Wyoming. And they showed me pictures, and it's pinned on my map, and we'll probably go at some point this summer.
Perfect.
So that kind of stuff is like awesome. And you also get to see other people's rigs. Say somebody with 51172s there. So they walk into each other's, where do you put this? Where do you put that? And
That's a great idea. I never thought about that. Yeah.
so it's just kind of cool to meet people and then just establish those relationships after the rally. I mean, I get a lot of people's cell phone numbers. I'm sure we'll keep in touch, email. So then you just have friends, or you find somebody in your town. You didn't even, oh, you're in that town? I'm in this town. We're only 10 minutes apart. And then you're hanging out after the rally.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
There were a couple of people that I know kind of made friends, and they were like, oh, yeah, we're going over to their place for a day or two on our way home. And I'm like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
New friends to camp with.
Yeah.
And one thing with truck campers is you'll be driving around in a town, and you'll see a truck camper person.
Right.
And the whole world
That's a big
stops.
deal.
And
It's like
you
a
are-
Jeep.
You just ran into a 3%er.
Yeah, it is.
You keep bringing this up.
He will never
Remind me to
forget
talk to you
3%
later.
again.
I like my issues. Don't take my issues away from me.
Well, and I just have to say, Lindsay runs our rallies. Yes, I know she always does this. But
I'll say it.
Yeah,
job.
thank you. Good job.
Yes.
And we didn't, I mean, all the cool stuff. She finds us a great band. We learned a two-step. And, you know, how many times have you heard people say, I haven't danced in 20 years.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
Yes, yes.
Or I don't dance. And then they're out there.
That's me.
Because we
And
give
then
them a
you're dancing,
nudge.
right?
And then they're
It's
like,
all good.
this is so
That,
fun.
but I was moving and the music was playing.
And he pretended he was too
My boss makes me.
Yeah, and it's all
People
good.
just kept grabbing you, Gordon. It was cracking me up. The look on your face. You were like, I know I have to.
it's hard to
but
hide when you're 6'3", but I was trying.
Right?
You were trying
Right?
really hard to hide, and it wasn't working.
I'm like, I'm
We
in the
had a
shadow.
great
How can
band.
they see me?
Both rallies have had great bands that come out and play for us. And I mean, a lot of people don't go see live bands anymore because you don't want to be in some crowded bar. I mean, it's just like you don't fit that scene.
Yeah.
But live music is really fun. We have campfires late at night. You just go drag a chair to someone's campfire. You know, we had trivia
fine.
night. That was
okay?
fun.
He's fine.
Okay, there's nothing in that
cat
closet.
has
Cat in the
Deep,
closet.
Dark
It's gonna have all
closet.
kinds of stuff to
So
explore.
anyway, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And it was the Merrills, right? The band?
The Merrills.
Like Haggard.
The Merrills. And
They were-
before
they were
that, it was
fun. They were
Bob
really
Apple
good.
at the other rally that we had.
Yes.
So if you're in Austin or around Austin, check out the Merrills and Bob Apple.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of sad our rally time is over.
That's okay.
But
Give
you've
it like
already
4 months and we'll be
scheduled
in
it
another
for
one.
next year, right? What are the dates next year?
The truck camper rally next year is
April 25th.
April 25th.
April 25th.
I remember that because it's day after my
Well, I was
anniversary.
going to get there. I just had to
Ooh, I was helping you.
think of what month. I was going to say July.
When is the tiny trailer rally?
Oh, stop. I
you
have
don't
no
know?
idea. That was last
Is it
week.
before or after?
It's the weekend after
Couldn't tell you.
the total eclipse, and one of the best places to see it is where we're going to have the rally next spring.
Ah, come to Texas.
Yes,
And do both.
and you can do both because they have a 4-day special. We'll be advertising this later, but they're going to have a special where you can be at this campsite. You have to do 4 days because there's going to be tons of people in Kerrville because it is a dark sky spot with lots of camping. So Bandera is going to be a great place to be.
But the next tiny trailer rally isn't next year.
It's in the
It's
middle.
in October, which is during the
12th through 15th.
but it's during the other eclipse, the lunar
partial
eclipse.
eclipse.
Ah, seems to be
Partial eclipse of the heart.
Yes.
That's total.
Oh, that's a total, not a partial.
In the fall?
But that
No,
one's
of
in the
my
fall,
heart.
and it's in Bandera as well. I don't know. Just go into Princess Craft, and there's a little tab that says rallies. Check it out. We will update it. Give us
I was
a
about
week.
to say it's not
We have to-
updated. Please don't go
We
there.
have to sleep for a little while, and then we will update it. Yeah, we need to catch up on our sleep. I don't know. I'm ready to go truck camping.
Yes.
I'm ready to jump in and go. Where are you guys heading from here?
We are going to Capri Camper in Bluffdale, Texas, which is up toward Fort Worth. And then we're going west to the Overland Expo West, which is happening in Flagstaff, Arizona next weekend. Not
That'll
this
be
weekend.
fun.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of overland vehicles, truck campers, a lot of pop-ups go to that.
yeah.
And then after that, we're going to explore Utah a little bit. Probably hit that Flaming Gorge that we heard about.
There you go.
And then we'll go up into the west and see some of the manufacturers, hopefully.
I think one thing I want to add right there is we do go to a lot of industry related things for the magazine, but we really love truck camping. This is not an act. Like, we definitely get in that camper and feel at home and go do all the things, a lot of the things our readers write about, the hikes and the trails and the exploration and we just love this stuff. And that helps so much with what we do and the writing. And when I talk to people who are fellow truck campers or getting into it,
we can relate.
I can connect to their energy very naturally. It's just something, I don't know. I don't have to, when I'm writing about it, hopefully you can feel it in the writing. Like, I really enjoy what we're doing. So that's the biggest gift of all of this, other than meeting you guys and everybody else involved in the industry, which of course is definitely the best part. So,
well, Gordon, I can relate. Oops.
Ooh, your phone is so loud, PJ.
It is.
So loud.
Greg.
So
it was Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, Greg is calling me.
He's either the
So
best or he's the
you know
worst.
what? I can relate to that because, when we started with Princess Craft and Princess Craft started in 1968. The reason we have this crazy name is because that was the brand of truck camper and camper shell that was made by the company. That was what we did. So I didn't come to truck camping because I thought, hey, I'll try this. We ended up with this company that we thought was making money when it really wasn't. It's kind of that movie Money Pit, And so, but this Princess Craft was our brand, and we competed with Capri for rodeo campers, the basic build. And that's why we have the name Princess Craft. And I realized early on that the truck camper people were so nice. They were just so nice. And all the other things I sold, the cargo trailers, the horse trailers, the grill guards, we did truck mods, we did all kinds of things. They weren't that nice. They just wanted a transaction. One of my first truck camper customers who ended up buying an Alpenlight from us, is actually in my business group now, and he owns a campground and he owns a dealership. And I ran into him 20 years later, hadn't seen him for 20 years, in my business group, because he said, yeah, we bought that from you years ago and we were hooked. And it is kind of that feeling that's just different when you have a truck camper. You feel very free, very mobile, and it's an amazing lifestyle. So anywhere. There's my 2 cents.
It's the go anywhere, camp anywhere, tow anything, and extends much further beyond just off grid.
But there is a freeing feeling about it. I remember the first time, the first time I drove the truck, I had a Honda Civic, and we went to go pick up this big dually truck. And Gordon's like, "Do you want to drive home or should I?" I'm like, "I'm driving this beast." And I'm on the highway going 55 miles an hour, and I'm watching these dualies, and they're right up against the lines.
And you're like, am I in the lane or not? I can't tell.
And then we load the camper on, and that was very interesting. The first time loading a camper.
It's always interesting for every single human.
Well, there's a lot of yelling and screaming, and I can't do this. I can't do this.
Which, by the way, is normal. That's the process.
That is the learning process.
It's like a kid falling off a bike. Yes, that's part of the process. It's okay. Right?
You skin your knee and you get back on.
Driving out that first trip, and we left Pennsylvania, and we're going towards Chicago. We're somewhere in Western Pennsylvania, and I'm like, we're doing this. I can't believe we're doing this. And it was just it was the most freeing feeling in the world to know, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to see. I don't know what's out there. I'd never been to Yellowstone before. Like, I knew all of this was about to happen, and I could just enjoy it. And it was just this feeling of, yay, like so much fun.
And that feeling is really what we're after. In the end, it's not the boxes in the back of the pickup trucks or what they have in them or where it's that feeling of adventure and discovery and connecting and meeting new people and having them say, have you ever? No, let's try that. I mean, just the
road magic.
It just,
yes.
Well, that's a whole nother topic for another day, but road magic is real. It happens. Things happen on the road that you can't explain, that become part of your life, in a very meaningful way.
The people you meet, or a place you just stumble across you never knew existed, and all of a sudden you drive and you make a left-hand turn and you go down this dirt road and you're in this beautiful canyon and you just camp there.
And then you meet someone down the hike that you can't believe you never, like, how did I never know this person? And they share their story, or they know someone from your hometown, and you're going, this is just too many weird.
It happens all the time on the road, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Especially if your antenna is up, it definitely happens.
And that's what makes me so excited for this summer. You know, we're just starting going out for this summer. And I know ahead of us is the Overland Expo and going through Utah and Idaho and Washington. I'm like, I don't even know what's going to happen this summer, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
The next adventure.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If we haven't convinced people to at least consider a truck camper, if they're trying to figure out what might work for them, then hopefully they'll jump over to Truck Camper Magazine and see some of the great work that you guys do, because I don't know. I love reading Truck Camper Magazine and seeing what creative things you guys put out every week.
You never know it's going to pop up in your email box.
It is kind of like, what did you call it? Road magic. Yeah. It's kind of like, what is that? Oh, really? Wow. And, you know, I've been doing this 27 years. It takes a lot to wow me. And you guys do it every now and then. I'm just like, whoa. Yep. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you hanging out with us.
It's been fun. It really is. It's good. And Princess Craft has come a long way since we were last here. You guys are really, it's amazing. The new lot.
You've got an amazing dealership, and it's so well run, and it's organized, and you come in and you feel welcome.
And the team is really together and nice, and it's just great to see. It's
so many truck campers. So many new things.
Means a lot coming from you guys. You see a lot of dealerships, but that's how every dealership should be, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, now that we have all had virtual hugs, Clint.
Sure, I'm on.
Can you get us out of here?
I hope so. Here, I'll just push the button. Just kidding. Everyone, check us out on rvsmalltalk.com if you want to check out the show notes for this episode or any other episode we've ever done. Or if you're listening to this in the future people, you can check out future episodes there too.
How often do you podcast?
We try to go for about once a week. Every now and then our schedule gets busy, but about once a week you should see some
constant day people should look out for.
We like to release on Thursday evenings.
Oh, okay.
And the reason for that is because I'm weird. But also
you're only 3% weird.
I'm only 3% weird, but you know what? I will grow that number. We'll do that together.
But you know what? People can actually go into their podcast player and subscribe.
Yes.
And then whenever we put it out, it's going to pop up and just notify you there's a new episode.
Sure. Cool.
Okay.
I don't understand why everybody doesn't do that, but they don't.
So go to your podcast player of choice, and we.
What are podcast players?
So it could be iTunes or Apple Podcasts now. It could be Spotify, Stitcher.
Google has a podcast thing, but
iHeartRadio.
We're not on podcast, but I'm going to sign up after this.
But do you use Spotify?
No, I don't.
What?
So lots of options out there, and you can subscribe to it as you would subscribe to any service. And as a new episode comes out, you'll either be notified or it'll automatically download and play next time.
And then it's just sitting there waiting for you.
But it's great for like when you're doing those cross country trips and you just want to listen to something. Yeah. You don't want to listen to 80s on 8 when they're playing the same song over and over again.
Sure.
We love it. But how many times can we hear we built this city?
No,
we built this city.
I can listen to that a lot.
So the nice thing is, if you're a audiobook kind of person at all, then podcasts actually work for you really well too. And it's just such a different format in the sense that it's live. It's a bunch of friends talking on microphones, and you don't know where the conversation is going to go.
So there are people listening right now live.
No, but it's going to feel like that. This conversation, just the way we had it, is going to, as a podcast listener, you feel like you're at the table. You feel like
pretty
you're in the
much phones come with podcast players on them. There's a podcast player on your phone. somewhere.
You have an Apple, right?
Yes. We have
Okay,
iPhones.
so you have Apple Podcasts already on your phone. And speaking of Apple Podcasts, if you listen to RV Small Talk on Apple Podcasts, that's pretty much the biggest podcast player that allows ratings and reviews. And guess what ratings and reviews do?
they boost up.
They help us become discoverable to everybody else.
They're
so if
algorithmic.
you listen on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to rate and review. Angela.
And 5 stars would be really nice. But if you don't like the podcast, maybe you just skip it.
Actually, you know, we mostly
don't
have
cry.
5 stars, except for that one person who says we cut each other off. And we're just
You don't
trying to be
say.
funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Huh?
We all
Really?
talk over each other
We
all
all
the
talk
time.
at the
and
same
just
time?
Try to be funny.
Yeah.
I love that review. It makes me so happy.
that note, everybody, thank you so much. Gordon, Angela, thank you so much for joining us, for coming in.
was fun.
And you'll hear your own episode in a few days.
Well, you're going to help me get it on
She's
my
just
phone.
going to have to figure out how to get to the podcast.
That's right.
Lindsay will help me get it on my phone right now. After
It starts with P for podcast.
Okay. And show me how to do it.
I don't know how to work apples. You're gonna
And if anybody out there needs to figure out how to get Apple Podcast or another podcast player on their phone and subscribe, you call Princess Craft, ask for Lindsay.
No, I'm going to give out Clint's cell phone number.
Ooh, hey.
I'm sure YouTube has a couple of videos. How to get
Yes.
a podcast
We'll
on
all
your
take
phone.
your calls. Why not?
We
Come
are on
wouldn't it
YouTube. Look
be
us
fun?
up at RV Small Talk Podcast on YouTube. And we're on social media. Look us up at RV Small Talk Podcast on social media.
They could look at us on Facebook. We have a community group for RV Small Talk.
Yeah.
You
And
just
they
said
talk
that.
to each other. So I was
do
going
it.
to say if they need... I'm out.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.